Dana White's Contender series is a brutal, high-stakes audition. For the unsigned talent of mixed martial arts, it is the world's toughest job interview, where a single mistake can end a career before it officially begins. Mitch Ramirez enters this audition with a story of redemption, having decided to become a fighter while serving time in prison. Across from him stands Carlos Prates, a Brazilian technician who spent 14 years refining his Muay Thai in the gyms of Thailand and Sao Paulo. Prates isn't just fighting for a contract, he's fighting for his mother. Since his father passed away when he was only a year old, she worked multiple jobs to support his training, often buying his gear when money was tight. For both men, this cage is a threshold. The reality of the octagon ensures that while both have suffered to get here, only one will leave with a future in the UFC. The fight starts with an immediate tension. Ramirez applies heavy pressure and executes a powerful double-leg takedown, slamming Prates to the mat and testing his defensive composure early. Prates remains remarkably calm on his back. He begins talking to Ramirez, using trash talk as a tactical distraction to clear enough space for a butterfly hook and a clean sweep back to his feet. Once the fight returns to striking range, Prates lands a shot that breaks Ramirez's orbital bone. Ramirez is forced to continue the round effectively blind, unable to track the incoming strikes. In the closing sequence, Prates finds the opening he's been timing. He fires a perfectly placed left cross that results in a definitive one-punch knockout. The victory was so clinical that Dana White compared Prates' striking flow to a young Anderson Silva. That night, the dream of 14 years became a reality. Carlos Prates was officially a UFC fighter. Prates returns to São Paulo a hero at his home gym, the Fighting Nerds. He is now part of the most elite roster in combat sports, but the jump in competition is a steep, often violent climb. Mitch Ramirez eventually found his own way into the promotion on short notice, showing how the paths of these two Contender Series veterans remained linked by their shared ambition. But the UFC is an unforgiving environment. In his debut, Ramirez absorbed a series of leg kicks that tore the fascia in his calf, a horrific internal injury that would stop most athletes. He fought through the pain, only to suffer a second major trauma, a broken long bone in his foot. Ramirez survived until the third round, his heart keeping him upright long after his body had failed. He eventually lost via TKO, a stark reminder of the physical cost of competing at this level. The octagon is a meat grinder, where toughness is the bare minimum requirement. As Prates prepares for his own official debut, the stakes have never been higher. Fight week in Las Vegas is a blur of weight cuts, media obligations, and mounting pressure. For a debuting fighter, the atmosphere is heavy with the weight of expectation. There is a sensory shift when you enter the UFC ecosystem. The specific smell of the fresh leather gloves, and the sight of your custom-tailored fight kit waiting in the locker room. Standing in Prates' way is Treden Giles, a seasoned veteran brought in to see if the newcomer's highlight reel knockout can be repeated against established UFC competition. Backstage, Prates stays warm and focused. He is quiet, channeling over a decade of Muay Thai experience into the moments before his name is called. Everything comes down to the walk toward the light. In these final, claustrophobic moments, a prospect either settles into the rhythm or is overwhelmed. The first round is a struggle. Giles uses his veteran experience to crowd Prates, trapping him against the fence and preventing him from finding his range. The constant pressure effectively neutralizes Prates' offense. He spends the round defending and reacting, ultimately losing the first 5 minutes on the judges' scorecards. In the corner, the message is blunt. His coach confirms he dropped the round and makes it clear the only way to win this debut is with a finish. Prates makes a tactical shift for the second round. He begins utilizing the teep, a lead leg front kick, to physically push Giles back and regain the center of the octagon. This adjustment changes the geometry of the fight. By processing the failure of the first round and applying a technical solution mid-battle, Prates shows he can reset his mind under the highest possible pressure. Having established his range, Prates sets the final trap. He feints a devastating knee strike, forcing Giles to drop his hands to protect his torso. As the guard drops, Prates fires a laser-precise left hand that slips through the opening, knocking Giles unconscious instantly. The win earns Prates a Performance of the Night bonus. Still in the arena, he FaceTimes his mother in Brazil, who is celebrating his victory in the middle of a carnival street party. The 14-year grind has finally been validated. Every sacrifice his mother made to buy those first gloves has been repaid on the most prominent stage in mixed martial arts. Carlos Prates entered the UFC as a prospect with a highlight reel. He leaves his debut as a calculated technician who proved his brand of violence works perfectly at the highest level. Carlos Prates has arrived.